Hello, welcome to a vlog. I'm not entirely sure what this vlog is going to be, but things are happening with my book, things are happening with my life, and I wanted to document all of the things. So I'm on holidays in Spain at the minute, in case that wasn't obvious from the background in the previous video. But I have been working on the sequel to Project Side, and I've been very indecisive about it, not just what happens in it, but also how I want to approach it. And I've changed my mind about how to write the book 7 times in the last couple of days. But I think we are figuring things out. I think this is the final time I'm gonna change my mind. So I am ready to tell you what my approach is going to be now. So if you watched my last video where I wrote the first chapter of this book, that was yesterday. And today I've spent the morning outlining the book. I just sort of decided, okay, I'm just gonna stop stressing about the parts that I don't know and just put everything that I already know in an outline in order. And when I sat down to do that, I decided I'm gonna try and use the 9-part structure again, because it's what I ended up using in my last book, although it wasn't on purpose. I had never heard of the 9-part story structure when I was writing my last book, because I completely discovery wrote it. And then when I tried to outline when I was rewriting it, I ended up with 11 parts, of which I ended up cutting some and then ended up with 9. And then I found the 9-part story structure afterwards and realized, hey, this matches basically completely. So this time I thought we'd do the smart way around and start from the 9-part story structure and then work our way to the story. So I ended up putting everything that I already know in the order I already know into the structure, and then somehow the missing bits just fell into place. It was so easy once I just wrote it down. I don't know why I didn't write it down before. I just letting it stay in my head and progressively drive me more and more insane, when writing it down was just oh, I guess this is what's missing, well, I can just put this in, and it was done. That's it. That's how easy it was. It took an hour to go through all my notes and put everything together, but that hour, I could have done this a month ago. So I've decided that I don't want to fast draft the book, because I just really wasn't happy with how chapter 1 ended up yesterday. But I also don't want to spend 2 years on a first draft. So I'm gonna try and do something in the middle, where I try and get each chapter as neat as I can, but I'm not allowed to rewrite chapters from scratch more than 3 times, which sounds like a lot, but if you compare it to my last drafting process, where I was rewriting chapters 20 times until I got them right, this is an improvement, and that's what we're sticking with. So what do I mean when I say I've outlined the book? Because I haven't actually fully outlined the book, but what I do have is I have the big finale / climax of each of those 9 parts, and I've got some idea of a couple of the things happening on the side as well. But I'm hoping that just having those big plot points is gonna be enough for me to be able to start writing without feeling anxious about not knowing the ending, and I'll be able to fit the little things in afterwards. So at the minute I'm still going through my massive brain dump notes saying on my phone, where I've got all of my random ideas in random order, and just going through and checking that there's nothing that I've forgotten that I might want to add somewhere. And then once I've done that, then I've got a slightly tidier outline, a more detailed outline for the first part, which I do want to outline in detail, and just a clear head, I guess. I want to go and rewrite chapter 1 and do it neatly this time. I still think fast drafting it yesterday was a really good idea, because it's what kicked me into process. I needed to write that first chapter for my brain to be oh, we're writing the second book now, better hurry up and come with some ideas, and then everything else just sort of happened. So I'm glad I did that, but that chapter is terrible and it needs to go. So we're gonna write it again, which means this is my second time writing this chapter. I'm allowed a third, and then I gotta move on to the second chapter, so you gotta hold me accountable to that. So I think right now I've got about 20 minutes to do that, so not very long, because afterwards I am going to go have tea with my grandma, and I phoned her this morning to ask if she was free to have tea with me, and she said that she's actually bought a bunch of ingredients to make some they're called the drunken ones in Spanish, and it's basically just a bit of pastry that's been dunked in some wine and then deep fried, and it's also got this, I don't know what it's called in English. In Spanish we call it angel's hair, which thinking about it sounds not that appetizing when you say it out loud, but it's delicious, I swear. But she bought some ingredients to make those, and she said if I want to, I can come over and she'll teach me the recipe, and then we can have tea afterwards. And this is the recipe that her mother used to make, so it's 4 generations old. So I'm very excited for that. And yeah, we're gonna do that first, and then I might do some more writing work in the evening, and I'll keep you updated on my progress. As usual, I've forgotten how to vlog. Hi! I have been doing a terrible job at keeping the vlog updated. It is currently Monday, and I think my last update and my only update was on Tuesday last week. I have been in Spain for just over a week at this point, and I've been slowly settling into a routine which, quite honestly, is absolutely perfect. I am getting up fairly early and going to the beach first thing and just enjoying walking around the sand, having a nice swim, and then coming back reasonably early and having a snack and a cup of tea and then sitting down to write. And I can do a couple of hours of writing before lunch, which I've been having with my family. And then in the afternoon, I will normally do stuff with friends or family, either baking with my grandma or going out with friends or board games with my family. And sometimes I'll squeeze in a little bit of writing in the afternoon, but for the most part, I just do it in the morning. And I've been having a really great time. It's been a really good holiday so far. I do feel like I have been outside the house for most of the time that I've been here, which is partially why I haven't been updating you, because if I'm only at home for like 2 hours, I'd rather spend those 2 hours writing. But I have been making progress, and I wanted to share that progress with you. I am currently working on, I think, chapter 4, which I'm halfway through on. I started out a bit rocky, like it took willpower to sit down and write because I wasn't really into it. Like, I wanted to write, but I didn't want to write. I was not really vibing with the story yet, even though I've been like, this is a sequel, so like I was vibing with the first book, but I just felt a bit like I wanted to just go back and revisit book 1 and just read it again for fun or actually go in and revise. But I think I'm over that now. I've been enjoying it progressively more and more, and I've been getting really excited about it, and I'm starting to like, the more I write, the more I figure out the answers to some of the problems I had for later in the book, even though I haven't done anything differently to what I had in my outline. But just the fact that I'm actively writing is helping me think of ideas, and then I can write them down for later, and it's going very well, and I'm having lots of fun with it. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. My routine is gonna be changing a bit from now, because now my parents are on holidays, so the like family time in the afternoon is no longer restricted to the afternoon, so I might be doing more social stuff in the morning. I think one of my friends is on holidays as well, so I might be seeing more of her. But yeah, in general, I prefer writing in the morning, so if I can, I will try and keep my mornings a little bit like to myself. I will be doing some other things in the morning though, like I know tomorrow I actually have to do an appointment to renew some documentation. Then the day after we're going on a hike, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, I think it's going very well overall. I am going to do some writing now, because I actually didn't do any this morning, because I ended up hanging out with family and friends in the morning. And I think it's like 3 p.m, but I don't think I'm doing anything else with the rest of my day, so I should be able to just write through the afternoon. But I concentrate a lot better in the morning, so that's why I prefer doing it in the morning. I'm actually feeling like, you know, not super excited for it right now. I might end up doing some Brandon Sanderson lecture watching and brainstorming at the same time instead, and do some crochet, because fun fact, it was Christmas yesterday, but I haven't finished my grandma's Christmas gift yet. And it's fine, because we celebrate Epiphany in Spain, which is on the 6th of January, and we do gifts that day as well. So my new deadline is the 6th of January. But yeah, I gotta do that at some point, so maybe I'll just do that today if I don't feel like actually drafting a new chapter. And I will try to update you in less than a week this time. Hello, it is Wednesday today, also known as the day I was going to go hiking. Well, the bad news is that it's no longer happening. There's been like a wind warning going on, as well as a sandstorm, and it's just not good hiking weather at all. It's actually kind of dangerous to go hiking in this weather. We might be able to plan a hike next week, because this weather warning is gonna stay until Friday, but I don't know for sure, because there's a lot of other things happening next week, so we'll see. But today's the day that the sand warning is gonna be worst, so we should not really be leaving the house, but we also don't want to stay locked in for the entire day. So my siblings suggested that we could go to the public library and go do some work there. They have some uni assignments that they need to get done over the holidays, and I am always up for doing some writing at a library. I mean, I have not been in a library for over over 2 years and I have not been at this specific library for over a decade, but you know, I'm very excited. I can barely remember what library looked like because I used to just go to the children's section. I think that there's an area for students upstairs, but I haven't really ever studied there. So yeah, I'm really excited to do that. I am currently working my way through chapter 5, and by working my way through, I mean that I'm a couple of paragraphs in. And I think I've decided that part 1 is gonna be 6 chapters, so I've got 1 3/4 left. So I think my new goal, because it's the 28th today, I think. So I think what I want to do for the rest of the year is finish up part 1, which is these last 2 chapters, and then go back to the start of part 1 and tidy things up. Some of the earlier chapters I did go back and revise, but afterwards I just started writing really messy first drafts and like moving on to the next chapter, which is fine, that is what we want. But I want to make them slightly better, just a little bit better. But I have a 4-day time limit. And what I also want to do is start outlining part 2, because I think parts 2, 8 and 9 are the ones that I have the least amount of detail on for the whole book. So basically the ending and this one. So I kind of know, like I know what happens at the end of part 3, and I know like that they need to get to that location physically, but I don't have a clear idea of the scenes I want to build to make that physical movement through the location they need to get to interesting. So part 2 is gonna need a little bit of figuring out, and I would like to have that finished by the end of the year, so that when I do NaNoWriMo next month, I've got part 2 fully outlined and I can jump straight in and draft it. So that's what we're doing. I'm gonna go and get my things together so we can go to the library, and I'll take you along with me, of course, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's gonna be so much fun. I swear the second I set up my tripod, my neighbors started hoovering. We're gonna do this anyway because I gotta leave in half an hour, and if I don't update you now, you're not getting an update, and I've been neglecting updating you enough as it is. It is the 31st of December today, so happy New Year's Eve, even if you're watching this in late January, I imagine. I have done a bunch of work on my book since last time. So last thing I told you was I was going to that library. That was on Wednesday. It is Friday. No. It is Saturday today. Wow. So the library on Wednesday was okay. We didn't go to the one that my sibling was planning to go on, which is actually not the one that I thought we were going to. I thought we were going to the one that we went to later, which is the one that I used to go to as a child. And it was weird because they've changed the layout a lot, and there wasn't any space in the like upper floor, which is where the university students usually go. So we were in the lower floor, which is where they have all the children's books. So it's the section that I used to visit when I used to go there as a kid. And it changed so much. Like the bookshelves that used to be in the middle of the room were all gone to make space for like extra study tables. So there were only really bookshelves on the outside of the room and nothing in the middle. Everything else was just desks. And seeing that room without bookshelves just made it feel so small, and like in my head this library was a massive labyrinth where you could like get lost between shelves, and it had nothing to do with the way I remembered it, both because I was too little to remember it as it being small, but also because it had changed so much. So it was slightly depressing. Like all of the books I used to borrow were gone, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm guessing people just don't use libraries that much anymore, but it just made me very sad. I did manage to get some good work done, so that's something. It was very crowded in there because I'm assuming anyone that was going to the other library also went in there afterwards. So it was very difficult to find a desk, and when we eventually did, we didn't stay for that long because there were loads of people and I felt a bit anxious because no one other than me was wearing a mask in there, as usual. But we did stay for about 2 hours, and I managed to finish chapter 5, which is the one I was working on. Then I planned out chapter 6, but didn't want to write it because I was getting anxious. And then I outlined and planned the whole of part 2. So that was a very productive 2 hours. And then on Thursday, I managed to write the entirety of chapter 6 pretty much in one sitting, and That's probably my favorite chapter that I've written so far. It's very short, but I think it's good, and it's one of the ones that I had in my brain from a really long time ago, like since I was writing book 1. This is a chapter that was very clear on that I was leading up to in the second book, and that just made it really easy to write because I knew exactly what I wanted out of it, and I think it lives up to what I had in my head. It will need revisions, obviously, but I think for a first draft it's pretty good, and I'm very, very happy with it. So that was Thursday, so when I finished that, my plan was, okay, Friday and Saturday I have until the year ends. I'm gonna go through the 6 chapters I've written and revise them a bit before I move on to part 2. But then I didn't sleep very well the previous night, and I did not have any amount of focus to do anything yesterday. I tried doing a little bit of writing and I just couldn't concentrate on it whatsoever, which means that I basically did not touch my book yesterday, which means that now I have 6 chapters to revise today before the year ends. But I think what I'm gonna do is just do a less in-depth revision than I was planning on. And just to clarify, I'm not line editing. I want to focus on just big plot things for these. And yeah, as I said, I actually have to run some errands now, so I'm gonna be leaving soon. But then after that, I don't have anything else to do for the entire day. So I'm just gonna be sitting there and working on my book and getting all my chapters revised. And because it's New Year's Eve as well, I think we're not having dinner until 10 p.m, maybe 11 p.m, because then we're gonna be having grapes together, which, if you didn't know, that is a Spanish New Year's tradition where you eat 12 grapes at the change to midnight on New Year's Eve. But that is everything I wanted to update you on, so I will see you later and we will see if I actually manage the 6 chapters, which I'll be surprised if I don't, because they don't need that many revisions. But hello again. I wanted to give you just one final update before the year ends. I finished going through the 6 chapters that I wanted to revise, although not in nearly as much detail as I wanted to, but it's probably not a bad thing that I had a bit of a time crunch going on, so I couldn't get distracted by the little things. I actually finished doing that a couple of hours ago, but I wanted to wait until I was in my New Year's outfit to do this update because I look fabulous and you deserve to see it. But yeah, I'm still feeling a little bit hesitant about some things. Primarily, I'm worried about chapter length because for my first book, the average chapter length is about 2,500 words, and at the minute for these 6 chapters alone, the average word length is 1,500, so it's 1,000 words less, which, there are bits missing that I still need to write, and I also tend to be very, very bad at adding description as I go. That's something that I tend to do in revisions, so it will get longer, but I still feel like it's quite short. And I know realistically, it's not much of a problem, but just while I'm writing, I feel self-conscious over the chapter length, and I just need to stop comparing my draft 1 of this book with my draft 4 of my last book, because that's not a good comparison to make. But I haven't drafted a new book in so long that I don't have anything else to compare it against, so it's difficult not to make that comparison, but I'm trying not to. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this vlog and for this year. As a matter of fact, I am going to go eat my grapes and have dinner with my family, not in that order. I realized that this video will be up in late January, if not February, but I hope that you have a brilliant start to 2023 and a brilliant start to your writing year as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to give me a thumbs up if you want to support my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.